I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You're listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure to check out the Glebe Central Pub right in the heart of the Glebe. It is at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. We'll see you 1 week from today, next Saturday, March 1st. Sens, Sharks, get your shuttle tickets. We got 2 buses going to the CTC. It leaves an hour and 15 minutes before the game, but we're going to be there all weekend. If you're going to the game Wednesday, head to the GCP shuttle. You can get your tickets at GlebeCentralPub.com. I'm Ross Levitan. That is Brandon Piller, and the Ottawa Senators stumble out of the Four Nations break with a 5-2 loss to the Montreal Canadiens. That honestly, it was bad. It was awful, but Pillsy, it could have been worse the way it started.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big oof game for the Ottawa Senators. Looking at this roster and the lineup, Ross, we didn't exactly have high hopes for this game, but the Senators made it interesting when they brought it back from being down 2-0, and then they ran out of steam and just weren't able to have any sort of responsible play with the puck, and Linus Ullmark was not able to really get anything done in this game, and the Montreal Canadiens run away with this one 5-2, extending the Ottawa Senators losing streak to 4, and all of those games against division rivals. Yikes.
How was your day, Pillsy? You have a good day?
I mean, it was good until this. I thought I was excited for Sens hockey. I was back and forth between wanting Four Nations face-off hockey, not wanting it, and now I'm glad there's no Sens hockey till Wednesday, where I will be boots on the ground for.
Yes, you will be at the next 2. I'll be with you next Saturday night. I'm excited for all that, and I just want to forget about this game. And if there's any Habs fans, bonjour. You've now beat us twice in a row. Sens are now 0-4-0 against Montreal and Buffalo this year. So if that doesn't tell you that they're leaving points on the tables, I don't know what does, man. It's just, there's a big stench with this one. Guys weren't finishing their checks. Guys were brutal with their sticks. Just so many pucks. Just careless would be the word to describe it. I think Drake Batherson would be the poster boy for that, but he wasn't the only one. I mean, Nick Jensen tripped over his own skates and almost gave up a rush. Credit to him for battling through and poking the puck away, but it was indicative of what kind of night it was going to be early when Drake Batherson had a great setup. Only problem was it was to the wrong guy in front of his own net. Brendan Gallagher makes him pay for that one. It was 1-0 before you could even really think in this game. So just awful. Ullmark allows 5 goals on 15 shots. I wouldn't say he's the guy to blame, but he was in the group of guys that didn't give this team a chance to win.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I know maybe I have too much sympathy towards the goaltending, but really, if you look back at all those goals, a lot of them were defensive breakdowns. So I'm not going to put too much blame on Ullmark here. Probably the one that you give him the most blame was the Slavkovsky one, when he gives up a juicy rebound.
Wasn't that the
Gallagher's
Anderson one?
cut.
Or was that another one?
Oh, maybe I'm getting them mixed up, but whatever one where Gallagher walked in. Yeah, maybe that was the Anderson one. Yeah, the Anderson one where Gallagher walks in, low shot, big rebound, and Anderson's able to bury it. That one, that's not great by Ullmark. But the other ones, I'm putting way more blame on the defensive play of the team than I am on Ullmark. Yeah, and maybe it's just I'm a goalie hugger, as Noodles says, but that's the way I saw it. I'm not trying to defend Ullmark here and say he had a great game or anything like that. Don't get it twisted, but the defensive play in front of him was a much bigger problem in my
opinion. I know the Slavkovsky one was a slap shot from the slot where it was easy. What you thought would be an easy breakup by Drake Batherson, and it just tips off his stick and goes. So 2 primary assists for Drake Batherson into his own net. Just unacceptable performance from him. Tripping over himself in the third period as well. Like, there's 2 guys that had it, and you heard their voices in the intro to this show.
Yes.
Tim Stützle, fantastic. Jake Sanderson, unreal.
Yep.
Wearing a letter tonight with Brady Tkachuk out. We'll get to that storyline later on, but those 2 were fantastic. Everybody else had a lot more to give.
Forsey had his guy. He did.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
when
the backup goalies there. Yeah, when your backup goalie who came through midway through the second period is one of your standouts right off the bat, it was a poor performance overall.
Yeah, definitely. It's so tough losing these games like this at the CTC with Habs fans there. Like I feel for the Sens fans there because that is just a brutal experience.
Well, it's almost like the Buffalo game. Like it's like when these guys have a long time between games at the CTC, they forget how to play at home.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. The Buffalo ones don't bother me as much as the Habs ones do.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm just talking in terms of like the ice was so lopsided in this game. Like Ottawa didn't have many grade A chances, and for some reason the broadcast brought up, I think 55 times, that Samuel Montembeault played for Team Canada, kind of practiced with Team Canada, and that was going to turn his whole career around. The practice time with these elite players, he's just going to go on such a heater. Kelly Rudy, Gary Galley, these guys just want. It's like, Ullmark was at Four Nations too. This guy let in 5 goals on 15 shots. So anyways, I didn't think Montembeault was very good either. I thought he was okay. This was not a goalie steal of a game for Samuel Montembeault. This was
definitely not.
Ottawa shooting themselves in the foot time and time again.
Yeah, and I mean, like, obviously it's no excuse, but when you're missing your captain, your second line center, your third line center, it's going to make things difficult. The Habs are pretty much fully healthy, so they had their full roster there, but you can't let a game get away from you this bad. Like, I actually, the Sens had me fooled a little bit, Ross, when they tied it up at 2. And then
sick goal from Timmy.
Just as I got my tweet out saying I was excited about Sens hockey, they let in that third goal, and then it's over from there. So that was kind of poetic justice slapping me in the face there.
Yeah, so 4 straight losses in the division. You already mentioned that, but these haven't just been 1-goal losses. These have been embarrassing.
The one Tampa was, but
in the last 3 games, they've been outscored 15-4.
Yeah.
15-4 in the last 3 games, dude.
Yeah, it's brutal, and this is not the time for this to happen. Luckily, as we sit here, Ross, the Ottawa Senators are still in a playoff spot, but
they won't be by Wednesday.
I don't think so. Yeah, they're going to need a miracle in the out-of-town scoreboard to still be there by Wednesday. And then, guess what? Who do they get? The Winnipeg Jets. Great.
Yahoo! Jets scored with 20 seconds left with the goalie pulled to tie it and won in a shootout with Eric Comrie tonight in goal. Yeah. Woo! We got lots to discuss. I don't want to dive too deep into this game right now. I just want to say if I see 11-7 on Wednesday, I'm going to go nuts.
Well, like what was up with that Stephen Halliday? I was about to call it a call-up, but it was not a call-up. He practices with them, then goes to Rochester and plays for Belleville, and then the Sens go 11-7. Like, what is the point of all that?
It's driving me bananas.
That just makes no sense in any way.
Do they think JBD would get claimed on waivers? Or is he? No, he's still on LTIR, so he's not the issue.
Because like the thing is, regular jersey, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he's been taking line rushes.
But you don't have to get activated for that. You can still practice. And I believe he is still on the LTIR. So I understand there's cap constraints, but you have to figure it out. Steve Staios had 2 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah, we're talking about cap constraints with guys making less than $1 million. Like, you got to find a way to make it work.
My patience is being tested right now with management because this is too critical of a time in the season to be trotting out 11-7 for 3 straight games
up against division rivals. Yeah.
And 11-7 where multiple forwards are call-ups.
Yeah. And like you had weeks, like you mentioned, to figure this out. And I know the Brady thing, like that was probably coming down to game time decision, but to not have a backup or to have the backup in Halliday and send him back and not use him, I'm confused right now.
Something has to give. There's a fine line between steady and sleepy. That's all I'm saying. There's a fine line, and you can't have multiple call-ups, and we don't have to call them out by name. There's just a lot of not NHL everyday quality players that you can win with in this lineup. Their two best players on the ice tonight were the two best players, but they had nothing after that.
Yeah.
Nothing. Giroux had a couple opportunities, the slap shot in the third period when it was.
But they were all set up by Timmy. Without Timmy, those opportunities don't have. Well, I mean, the one he created on his own, so I'll give him that. But I mean, any opportunity most other players had were set up from Timmy or Sanderson.
Did you feel like the Sens were soft tonight? I felt like they didn't finish any hits other than Ridley Gregg in the third period.
Yeah, I mean, definitely finishes that one. I mean, Ross, they do finish with 40 hits on the stat chart. So I don't know if I'll go that far to say they're soft.
Didn't feel that way. A lot of let-ups when they could. And look, maybe the Four Nations skewed my perspective on how hard players play every single shift. But a lot of guys curling back when the puck was moved from behind the net instead of finishing their man into the boards. Just brutal.
I mean, this would be a game where you would like to have a bona fide enforcer or a tough guy, right? And the Senators just weren't able to kind of answer in that way. But I mean, stick taps to Ridley Gregg, like that was a big hit, and he answers the bell on a guy that has what, a foot and 25 pounds on him, like
a foot, dude. That means Slavkovsky's 6'11".
I mean, pretty
Six
close.
inches. Let's say 6 inches.
Yeah, I mean that's still okay. That's an American converting issue there, I guess. But there's a big size difference there, and Ridley Gregg kind of holds his own for sure there. So you got to give him credit. But I mean,
it was too little, too late though. Where was that in the first period? And to your point, I found myself thinking if Chris Neil was in the lineup this game, the emotion of it would have swung at 2-0. He would have gone out and done something to change the momentum of this game. They needed a power play to do it, and it worked. Sanderson had a great shot through, and it finds the back of the net. And then Timmy, great play, amazing play, I should say. And he almost had an even better goal in the second, where he put the puck behind his stick between his legs, and almost got in for a rush. But you need more than two players. And that's why I always laugh when people are like, get Brady to a playoff team. Like, how are you wasting Brady? You know, you can't win with Brady, right? It's like, it's a team sport, right? And you need more guys in the battle. Tonight felt like there weren't enough guys in the battle from the puck drop, and it just deteriorated. Like, there was no time. I was like, in a joking way, I said, hey, what if they score on this power play, end of the second, start of the third? Maybe we get a bit of momentum. This game was never close once it got to 3-2. No. Montreal scores 10 seconds, if that, into the power play. Patrick Laine, your guy. You wanted the goal streak to continue. A drought, rather. It didn't.
Assisted by Wayne Hudson.
Yeah, and then Jack-Eye gets an assist on a goal. Like, it was just anything that could have embarrassed the organization and its fan base tonight. Saw some videos of Habs fans rightfully gloating on their way out of the building. By the way, the first win for the Habs in almost 3 calendar years in Ottawa. It's, I think, 4 days shy of that. But this was an ass kicking. This was, hopefully a wake-up call. Because Steve Stamkos just sat through that whole game with the management team. How do you watch that game and not think, I got to do something now?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be drastic. You're not reshaping the core or the nucleus of the team, but something has to happen. You cannot watch your team get through the injuries and have Levi Merrilainen, of all people, save your season when Linus Ullmark missed 43 days with a bad back. And then watch your team lose to Tampa twice, and that was a measuring stick. Then Florida was like, okay.
Yeah.
But then this one is just unacceptable.
Yeah, and how do you set your team up going 11-7 this many times? And that's 11-7 with arguably 3 AHL roster players in there already for you. Like that's on the management. And I know obviously injuries are there, but you got to be able to recognize the injuries and be like, okay, we got to solve this externally, and hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened yet. So what's the fix? We will discuss that and the Brady Tkachuk situation on the other side. But as always, the Postcast is brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. You can find the GCP at 779 Bank Street even on a night like tonight, when the bus gets back to the pub, you flush the game and you listen to some live music. They got live music every Saturday night at the Glebe Central Pub. Cannot wait to sing along next Saturday after the Senators play the San Jose Sharks. If you're thinking about heading to that game, join us on the bus. We're going to be boots on the bus. They're going to go round and round all the way to the CTC. You can get your tickets, GlebeCentralPub.com, online. And then you can go to the pub early. We're going to be there all afternoon, but for all home games, you can get your tickets there. And the bus leaves an hour and 15 minutes before the game and brings you right back 15 minutes after the final whistle. It's perfect timing. You get there right in time for warm up, and you're not struggling to get to your seat to beat it there, and you're not leaving early. It is an amazing experience. We use it every time we go to Ottawa. So head to 779 Bank Street, and on Sens game days, get 10% off your order by telling them you listen to Locked On Senators, which is really great because, I mean, if you're taking the shuttle, go there early and have a bite. Have a great time at the Glebe Central Pub. Visit them at 779 Bank Street and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you.
The Postcast today is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Guys, if you want to get into NBA action when the game tips off, you got to go to FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss that tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. If you're looking for a bigger payout, combine your bets into a live same-game parlay. I love the FanDuel app. It makes it easy to keep track of how the game's going and how your different bets, how the odds are changing. And it's easy to use. When you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Wah, wah, wah. Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan. That is Brandon Piller, and that noise you heard is the emotion following a 5-2 loss to the Montreal Canadiens. Senators won 9 straight against Montreal, but have now lost 2 straight games, and they will have to wait until April 11th for the third and final game.
That's crazy.
No, I lied. March 18th.
Okay.
Right after your birthday.
Yes.
That's where they go at Toronto, at Montreal in March, and then they'll have a game at home. So the next home game against Montreal will be April 11th. They play at the Bell Center on March 18th. We hope Brady Tkachuk's playing in that game. And Brady Tkachuk has only missed 1 game since the 2019 season. 2018-19. Like literally his rookie year. Played all 71 before COVID wiped out the rest of the season. All 56, missed 3 games with the contract dispute, and then missed 1 game with injury. I think it was last year, if not the year before. All that to say, he was out of the lineup tonight, and people were very upset about it online, saying that if he could play in the finals of the Four Nations on Thursday, why can he not play in this important game for the Ottawa Senators tonight? To those people, you say?
I mean, your frustration is fair. It's tough when you're a Sens fan. And I mean, most Sens fans are probably Canadians. And you're watching this game where he suits up and he puts it all on the line for Team USA. They lose. And then he's not able to put it all on the line a couple days later for his team in the NHL. And if that's your approach to it and you're frustrated, that's totally fair. Like, I get that. As an Ottawa Senators fan, I get that. My spin zone to it would be, look, this is the captain of your team. You're the face of the franchise. He's signed to a long-term deal. He's probably dealing with some sort of injury or ailment. He's not 100%, that's for sure. And this is probably a discussion between him, the training staff, the medical staff, the coaches, management, being like, look, I'm banged up right now. I need a couple days off. I'll be ready to go by Wednesday. I would be shocked if he's not ready to go by Wednesday. I'm disappointed, obviously, that he wasn't able to play in this game. You got to think that this game would have a different feel to it if Brady Tkachuk is in this one. That's for sure. We all know what he brings to the table. And losing like this at home to the Montreal Canadiens is tough. But That's the only way I'm going to approach this, Ross, is this had to have been a discussion between the captain and the team, and mutually they decided that it would be best to give him time off. Hopefully he doesn't re-injure it in coming back to a game too soon, and he's 100% by the time Wednesday goes, and then he continues to play every single game. Like you mentioned, this is a guy that has a track record of playing a lot of games, so I got to hope that that's the case.
And Wally says he loves our captain, but it's not a good look when you play through it for Team USA, but not your team when every point is so crucial. And we've put up a poll here on Twitter. On YouTube. So have your vote right here in the live chat. Love the citizens hopping on, whether they win or lose. Cannot thank y'all enough here after the Senators fall 5-2. Is it whatever? If you're hurt, you're hurt. Mad, but it's not his fault? Or are you pissed? He shouldn't have played Thursday if he couldn't play tonight. Because we're not doctors, but he smashed into the post and missed the rest of the game 2 games ago. So,
but that's where it's tough too, because I'm sure like management is like, look, we obviously want you to be healthy for our game up against Saturday, but we saw what this game meant to Brady to be able to play in that game, and to hold him out in that, I think that would have caused Brady to be upset about it. And I'm not saying you have to cater to a player all the times, but sometimes you got to look at situations and you got to decide what's best long term. And again, I got to assume that management had the best long term intentions in mind here.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at here. I'm never gonna be like, oh, you got to play through it, you got to play hurt. I don't, but I understand how it's not a great look.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It sucks. Like we're not trying to tiptoe past the fact that
and
the
it's not like
visual is terrible.
And it's not like Matthew Tkachuk where he played 6 minutes and couldn't finish. Like he played that game and played it well. Like he played awesome on Thursday. If he had the same game he played Thursday against Canada, tonight against Montreal, it's a different game.
Yeah.
So I get it. And the poll is extremely tight. We'll get to it a little bit later, but I do not have time for people calling him soft or calling him a guy who doesn't care, because that's just ignorant.
Yeah, that's just like, you haven't been watching Brady Tkachuk if that's your opinion of him. So I disavow that line of thinking.
If anything, Brady cares too much.
Yeah, but again, I can see how if you're like strictly a Senators fan and not kind of looking at it from the grand scope of hockey and how the Four Nations face-off was such a big deal, especially to players like Brady, I can see how that line of thinking can come across for you, but it's just not true. Like Brady is not a soft player in any sense of the word, and for him to sit out a game, I think that's even more showing that it's something serious, because he doesn't do that often. I was at the game in Calgary where he busted his mouth open, needed stitches, lost teeth, and he comes back and scores the game winner in overtime. So that's the type of player Brady Tkachuk is.
Yeah, I agree with that, Pillsy. So people in the comments very split on this one. 28% are pissed, saying he shouldn't have played Thursday if he can't play tonight. 31%. So the leader is that they're upset about it, but they're not blaming him. So I'm glad that that's the top one, because that's what I would have voted for there. If you're hurt, you're hurt. Is at 25%, and whatever is at 16%. But to me, it sucks that you lose this game. It sucks it's another divisional game, but at least the Habs were 1-7-1 coming into tonight, and they've taken a huge step back in the race towards the playoffs. If this was Montreal 1 point behind you in the standings, I'd be a lot more upset. On the other side, the Winnipeg Jets will be Ottawa's next opponent. We'll have plenty of time to preview the game, but I got a stat for you on something that could be a storyline to watch heading into that game on Wednesday. Plus, our Sens Central standouts, no spoilers, in tonight's 5-2 loss to the Montreal Canadiens. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
The Postcast is also brought to you by our friends over at SelectQuote. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Four Nations Face-Off Championship. The same goes for life, guys. Having a strategy like life insurance from SelectQuote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. SelectQuote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money for us. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that only offer one-size-fits-all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage of up to $5 million with no medical exam required. And it's more affordable than you think, guys. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Go to selectquote.com/lockedonnhl today to get started. Selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. SelectQuote. They shop, you save.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan. That is Brandon Piller, and the Ottawa Senators stunk up the joint tonight, losing 5-2 at home to the Montreal Canadiens. If you went to this game, I'm sorry. I hope the game on Wednesday is better. Pilsy, is it time to start having a conversation about the offseason acquisitions that this team brought in?
I mean, yeah, it doesn't look great.
Like in free agency, I'll say, because Nick Jensen was obviously a trade. Linus Allmark was a trade, but again, availability is the best ability. I'm looking at Amadio and Perron wanting a bit more out of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, Perron, unfortunately, though, like it's been a tough go for him this year, but like this is a guy that they kind of were relying on to get in the 40-point range and provide some offensive spark to that middle six of the lineup. And he just hasn't been able to do that. I do like that he gets pucks towards the net. He kind of plays that meat and potatoes, simple game. He's good on the board battles, but like overall, it just, especially at the $4 million cap hit, it just, the juice hasn't been worth the squeeze. And then Amadio has periods where you know, I can see the vision and what management thought he could be, but it's like I don't have one attribute from Amadio where I'm like, he's good at this, or this is what he brings to the table. He's just kind of like a decent all-round guy that's serviceable, which that sounds bad. I don't want that to be like overly negative. It's just there's not like one thing about him that I love.
It's just because we're talking so much about the cap restraints of this team, but they spent every penny on bringing in $6.6, I believe, million on those two players. That's a lot. That's a lot of cap money.
Definitely.
For two guys. And we know there's circumstances around it, especially with David Perron, but you come off a 2-week break, you know you're shorthanded. These are the types of guys that you need to step up in a game like this.
Yeah, they were brought in to be depth and
like Michael Amadio had more shifts than any other forward tonight.
Yeah, he was playing with Timmy.
Somehow he's plus
quite
one.
A lot.
Somehow he's +1.
Yeah, that is surprising. Yeah, and he got a 3-year deal at probably a little bit above market value to probably a little bit more and an extra year than you would hope signing a guy like that. And
I just think it's worth the conversation because I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, Cole Reinhardt had 2 minor penalties and one cost them with the power play goal. Like they're AHL guys. They're only here because there's so much injury trouble. It's the guys who you're paying that need to be the ones that step up. And I just don't feel like they have enough guys pulling on the rope like that.
But I mean, Ross, the guys that they're paying the big bucks, over $8 million, Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson. I mean, we can roll into our Sens Central standouts.
Well, one last thing here, just again, you're not expecting Adam Gaudette to keep the wild pace that he was on. He has 3 goals in his last 30 games.
Yeah, it's been a while. He started off hot and then
but it's just like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, but like guys like Gaudette and Gregor, like I'm not gonna get on them too much. They're making
league minimum.
But yeah, Perron and Amadio, when you look at that combined, 6.6 mil.
And Batherson, but we already talked about him. This was one of the worst games I've ever seen him play.
It was really bad. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't want to get too deep on it, but this was a terrible game for Batherson, and this would have been a game where like he's one of those star players, and he really could have stepped up. It didn't happen.
It's brutal. Something's got to happen to create some cap space because they can't even activate guys off of LTIR without doing something. So they've got themselves in quite the predicament right now, and the Winnipeg Jets are next. So, I mean, just for completeness sake, let's run through the stats in tonight's game, and then let's just move off it. This has been one of those postcasts where we don't really need to break down the game a whole heck of a lot. It speaks for itself. 5-2 loss to Montreal. Ottawa outshoots Montreal 27-25. Montreal goes 1 for 2 on the power play. Ottawa goes 1 for 3. They had that garbage time power play at the end. Who cares? Ottawa wins 66% of the faceoffs. They outblock Montreal 17-11. Ottawa outhits Montreal 40-39. I don't know if the scorer had his thumb jammed on the hit button tonight. Didn't feel like that physical of a game.
That's a lot of hits. 79 total hits.
Didn't feel that way. Montreal with 53% of the expected goals. And on the old deserve to win a meter, it was 52.9% for Montreal. Ottawa just, they couldn't finish their chances other than Timmy on the breakaway. And they just gifted Brendan Gallagher a goal right out front. They gifted Slavkovsky a grade A from the slot. He's not going to miss that. It was a late Christmas present from the Ottawa Senators to the Montreal Canadiens tonight. It was tough to watch, and it's not going to get easier. The Winnipeg Jets are coming to town on Wednesday. The Jets just won their 9th game in a row, setting a franchise record for most consecutive wins. And the only game they've got between now and then, Pilsy, a home game against San Jose on Monday.
Great. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to go to. But I gotta hope that Brady Tkachuk's going to be in that game.
Hey, if you have to sit through a Sens Jets game or if I have to sit through a Sens Jets game this year, so do you, pal.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Oh, tough game tonight overall, though, for the Ottawa Senators. Just tough game.
Yeah, and to go into the break losing games and then to come out of it, like to have the break sandwiched with two pieces of L bread. Not a great flavor.
Longest losing streak in the Eastern Conference right now, your Ottawa Senators. Yeah. You want to hear from the coach?
Sure.
I'm just curious. Like,
gonna be short.
Is he going to be asked why they're going 11-7 for a third straight game? Like,
that's not Travis Green's fault.
No, but if he just says it's cap reasons, we got no other choice, just ask the question, man. Because a lot of fans are wondering why you're doing that, especially when your 7th defenseman is Travis Hamonic, who actually had a sick hit, and it would have been a nice play if Batherson didn't choke it out right away. It's actually a great hit. Anyways. And then Jack-Eye was going after Timmy later, and Hamonic comes in but doesn't really, do anything.
Yeah, I mean, at least he got him away.
I would have liked to see the eject button at that point.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, if you're Travis Hamonic, yeah, you might as well.
Why not? Just, do something.
Yeah.
That's what Ridley Gregg did. After Jack-Eye was going after Timmy again, he said, okay, you want to go after Timmy? Well, your superstar number 1 pick keeps his head down all the time, so I'm going to pop him. And he did. Shout out Ridley Gregg for that one. Here's head coach Travis Green, courtesy of the Ottawa Senators YouTube page.
Rusty.
No way.
We weren't very good with the puck. It was yesterday. It was nice to battle back.
No audio on the stream. Tough night for the Sens overall.
What do you mean? I heard that. Chat, did you hear it?
Oh.
Yeah, that was fine.
Because there was none for the other one I watched earlier. You know what? I think I have my computer on mute. How sweet is that?
Oh, I thought you were just pissed that his first comment was Rusty.
That's how I feel. This is the perfect screenshot. I'm just taking a quick screenshot of this one.
This is actually nice and crispy. Let's go.
All right, here's Senators head coach Travis Green.
Rusty. Look, we weren't very good with the puck. It was it wasn't a very pretty game. I thought really.
How would you describe the struggle of not having Tkachuk, Norris, and Pinto in this game?
Yeah, they're big parts of our team. When 3 of your top players, your most skilled players, I think it showed as far as our play with the puck. We need other guys to be on top of their game, and I didn't think we were on top of our game throughout our lineup.
Is the rust, do you think, attributed to the time off or the practice prep going into this game?
You'd have to ask the players. I thought we had one of our best practices of the year yesterday, but it's different. It's hard to mimic game speed, and it wasn't like their team just passed the puck around us either. I thought it was a bit of a choppy game both ways, and we had a couple gifts that we gave them, and we had some looks that we didn't connect on either. So
it's disappointing, like you battle back from 2-0 and then let them get the lead before the end of the period.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It's nice to battle back, but
How do you make sure a game like this doesn't set the tone after the break going forward in this crucial point?
I think it just goes back to what we've been talking about all season. Whether you win or lose, you evaluate your game and you move on and you get ready for the next one. And if anything, this one's probably a little bit easier. I think it was pretty obvious. We had some guys that didn't play very well and looked like they, not that it's an excuse. Just the whole league's playing, but some guys play well and some don't with those breaks.
Do you think Brady will be available for Wednesday?
I hope so.
Was it just a maintenance kind of game, or is it he actually dealing with an injury?
Yeah, it wasn't a mate. If he could play, he'd play.
To get deeper into this 4-game streak, is that harder to get out of it?
No, I don't think so.
You coach?
Okay.
There goes Sens head coach Travis Green. Hey, he said it. They had some guys who weren't very good in this game. So there you have it. Actually, no, I like that press conference.
Yeah. I mean, what else do you expect from him? I thought it was interesting when
good questions too. Actually,
asked about the rust, and he was like, "Well, you'll have to ask the players about that." I thought we had a good practice. That's not necessarily putting it on the players, but that's him being like,
no, we should put it on the players.
We thought we prepped for this game better than this, and you'll have to see how they answer. So that's an interesting approach.
Yeah, and people are rightfully DGL saying could play Saturday, could play in 3 weeks. I mean, like Shane Pinto, I thought was a question mark for the Friday game in Florida.
Yeah, that was always smoke screens, in my opinion. Like I never thought that he was going to play. I thought it was crazy that they did the "we're not ruling him out" approach.
My Sens Central standout tonight in a 5-2 loss to Montreal is Tim Stützle, goal assist. I missed watching Tim Stützle play. I had 4 shots on goal, 2 hits, 63% in the dot, Pilsy. Tim Stützle showed up tonight.
Yeah, and I thought he created so much offense. Like there's not easy stat for it, but he set up so many guys for great chances. Claude Giroux, Adam Gaudette.
His goal was sick.
Yeah, his goal was awesome. This was one of Tim Stützle's best games this season, in my opinion.
Sucks to waste it.
Yeah, and it's tough too. He got high sticked in the face. He's bleeding. No call.
His face has been a canvas for blood this year.
Yeah, Timmy's face has really been taking a beating this year. Yeah.
Timmy went 7 for 11 in the dot tonight, including 4 for 5 against Nick Suzuki. Pretty good.
Man, 11 faceoffs. That's got to be up there for
no Norris, no Pinto, dude.
But I mean, Norris and Pinto usually don't take draws for him, right?
Right. On different lines. You're right.
Yeah, Claude Giroux usually is taking a lot of those draws, so that's interesting that he had that many faceoffs.
Yeah, on a quick glance. On a quick glance, he hasn't hit 10
in a long time.
10 on the dot is the most before that in the loss to Buffalo on November 5th.
Oh boy. All right. Well, my Sens Central standout is going to be Jake Sanderson. I thought he played a great game as well. 21 minutes, 21 seconds. He had a goal. He had 4 shots. He had 2 blocks. The goal was on the power play. But arguably, Ross, like obviously the goal was sick, but arguably his best play, Nick Suzuki had to have.
Oh yeah.
Like, he was a full blue line ahead of Sanderson on a clear breakaway, and then Sandy just catches right up to him and breaks that play up pretty effectively. I think he did get a pass across, but didn't end up doing anything. But like Sandy came out of nowhere there, so like if you're thinking about like, hey, after a Four Nations tournament, does he still have some gas in the tank? There's your answer right there. So I thought Sandy had a great game as well. It was funny. Martian put it in our group chat, but there was one point where the Sens had ozone pressure, and it was just Timmy and Sandy passing it back and forth to each other like 5 times, because it's like in beer league when you know who the good players are and you know who the not so good players are, and you're like, look, no offense, but why don't we just carry this and see what we can do here? That's kind of what that was like.
Yeah, well said. And for Jake Sanderson, he gets back in the point column for the first time in 3 games, but now in his last 9 games, he has 11 points. So he's got his guy.
He's lighting it up offensively.
Yeah, he's got his guy. And you mentioned it, literally has his guy defensively. That play with Suzuki was unreal. And for Tim Stützle, extends his career high point streak to 9 games now. So those guys are playing great. Timmy on his 9-game point streak has 13 points now, 3 goals and 10 assists. So those are the 2 best players. They're the only 2 lottery picks in the lineup right now. Top 5 picks. Obviously, Brady's the other one on this roster. Couldn't make it tonight. Hopefully Wednesday, Brady Tkachuk will be back. We got a great show planned for you on Monday and Tuesday. We are going to have Jenner Jensen, Nick Jensen's wife's going to come on, working on an amazing charity initiative. So we're going to chat with her. We got lots more planned here. Trying to line up Jason Demers. He was a very well-liked guest when he came on before the season. So we'll get Jason Demers on when we can here. And we're looking at getting Thomas Hickey on as well. Part of the Amazon broadcast crew. Really has great things to say. And he's a former lottery pick himself. I want to say he was 4th overall, if I'm not mistaken. So
really? 4th? Oh, damn.
Thomas Hickey. I remember him at World Juniors. He was 4th overall pick in 2007. Wow. Hey, you know who he went 1 pick after? Let's see if the chat can get this. Who went 3rd overall in 2007?
No clue.
Hint number 1.
Bobby Ryan?
No, but Bobby Ryan's old line mate.
Corey Perry? No,
with Ottawa.
Oh, gotcha.
But he wasn't drafted by Ottawa. But he was picked on a team that traded him before. Matthew Shane's a good guess. That's 2 years after. Ooh, a little trivia to end the show, Bill.
I don't have this one.
Oh, has scored clutch overtime goals for Ottawa.
Kyle Turris?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, Richard had it right the same time you did. There you go. Kyle Turris goes 3rd overall in that draft. James Van Riemsdyk 2nd. Patrick Kane 1st. And Thomas Hickey 4th.
Wow.
One of those things is not like that. Thomas Hickey played 456 games in the league.
Yeah, he was with the Islanders a long time.
Yeah, there you go. All right, there's a little trivia, a little smile to end a very disappointing is the word. I wanted to choose my word carefully there. Disappointing night.
Very disappointing, though. The
intensity was disappointing. Like, didn't feel like a important game.
Yeah, like by the time the 3rd period was getting going, like the last 15 minutes of this game, it was just like let's roll through this.
Hey, can we go run time there? Stripes wanted to go run time. That guy took a tumble at the blue line in the late in the 3rd period.
Yeah, that was tough. Yeah, that's never good seeing the refs do that. But Ross, to get some positivity, we are going to the nation's capital, both of us next week, and I feel like people know when both of us link up in the nation's capital, we cook up some fun things. You get the live podcast episodes at Chateau Levitan; those are always good. And
Friday,
we're hoping to get some good stuff cooking. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Oh, we're doing some things behind the scenes here. We're your team every day, and we appreciate everybody for venting with us on this loser cast. This is a loser cast. Sens have lost 4 in a row. Yeah. Can't lose forever. We got so spoiled with danger flutes on the 5-game winning streak, Billsy. Got spoiled. It's kind of, have you noticed that the Sens, after all their winning streaks, they have a losing streak? Like, they can't just lose a couple after. Remember the one where they went out west and they came back and Would they lose 3 in a row or 4 in a row? I got it up here.
Buckle up. It's the roller coaster ride. It goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down.
Yeah, Martian's old statement. Yeah, so they won their 6 games in a row, and then after that they went 1-5-1. 1-5-1 in their next 7 games.
Oh man.
Oh, and then they won 4 of 5, and then they lose 2, they win 5, and now they've lost 4 in a row. But everything will be all right.
This too shall pass.
Big game Wednesday against the Jets. That's going to be a tough game for Ottawa. Final thoughts from me. Shout out to hashtag Sens Abroad. We just mentioned the Jets. They just re-signed Vladislav Nemestikov to a 2-year deal at $3 million per. A little Swiss Army knife player there. I know you loved him when he was in Ottawa, eh?
I was a big Nemestikov guy. Like trading him for a 4th or a 5th to Colorado
4th.
or whatever it was.
Remember, because we got him for a 4th from New York and then trade him for a 4th to Colorado.
They should have kept him. Yeah, I liked him.
DGL, I'm not spinning the goddamn wheel.
No, come on, get out of here.
Come on, get out of here. If they lose to San Jose on Saturday?
No, come on.
No, that's point night. It's point night. Come on. It's point night. All right, that's Brandon Piller. I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. We'll see you on Monday for another episode.